All right, let's go. Giants 31, Arizona Cardinals 28. Look, I want to apologize to Giants fans.
What?
I mean, I'm not like apologizing for season takes or anything, but I've been a little negative on Twitter because they were looking pretty bad. There was a point where if you just take their last 2.5 quarters, they were outscored something like 95-7. Hadn't scored for the first 6 quarters of 2023.
Yeah.
But they did. They did come back. Daniel Jones breaks off a big run. Saquon Barkley finds the end zone a couple times. We got Jalen Hyatt picking up the 58-yarder and another 30-yard. I mean, he's picking up big plays here. So the Giants found some life here after it looked disastrous. The Cardinals, with the worst roster in the NFL, get up big. 28-7 at one point? Yeah. 28-7. But the Giants come back and maybe salvage their season, Sam. So at least impressive comeback for the Giants. And the Cardinals, well done. Looking feisty, looking tough, but maintaining that 0-2 record and, the draft pick.
Maintaining that 0-2 record. Yeah, 28-7 and then 31-28 as the result. Like this was as stark a game of two halves as you're going to see. First half looked like the Dallas game for the Giants. Like they couldn't get anything done. They were getting wrecked on defense. They couldn't get anything going on offense. Daniel Jones has a pass that hits his receiver that's dropped, ends up as an interception. Just everything was turning to crap for the Giants. It was the first time, you get these records, and most of the time it's like since 2006 or whatever. First time since 1934 that the Giants opened the season with 6 straight quarters without scoring. 34. Wow. That's pre-World War II. Like, that's insane. And that was
in the Great Depression hit their offense.
Right.
That year.
Yeah. Hard, apparently. So the first, 2 quarters, you're like, wow, are the Giants actually the worst team in the NFL? This is unbelievably terrible. And then the start of the second half, they I don't know if it's halftime adjustments or they just snapped themselves out of the funk, but things changed. Number one, their offense, sparked some life. They hit the deep bomb to Jalen Hyatt to open the third quarter. They get a touchdown. Daniel Jones starts to get into a rhythm and actually starts making some passes, some nice throws out there. Darius Slayton, I thought, should have had a touchdown in the second half. That play where he tracked it incredibly well, over his shoulder, and is sort of leaning out of bounds as he grabs the ball. He only got 1 foot in, right? But doesn't a shin equal a knee, which equals 2 feet?
Yeah, the shin thing, I saw people asking about that. I mean, the shin should work, just like a wrist.
Yes.
A wrist works like an elbow.
Anything but a foot,
right?
Basically, is 2 feet.
Yes. The shin should work. And it's always you don't always get that though, right? But it should. The shin equals a knee, which is 2 feet down. That should be a catch.
I don't think they challenged that, right? Either that should have been looked at, and that should have been a touchdown, I think. But anyway, they got it together in the second half. Daniel Jones made some beautiful passes like that down the field. He also had a lot of throws over the middle that were impressive. And then maybe the other element is, the Cardinals' offense stalled. They didn't score in the second half, and honestly, one score, they win the game.
Yeah, it's one of those games where if it went back and forth,
yes,
and it ended up like there, it would kind of make sense.
Right.
But the fact that it was so one-sided for the Cardinals, James Conner breaks a beautiful run. Josh Dobbs played a really good game. He had that kind of a beast mode type of rushing touchdown there. And that's why people like Josh Dobbs, by the way, is you have games like this where he's just really efficient, moves with his legs. What'd you say?
Feisty, gritty.
Feisty, yeah. He has those games, man. He runs the offense and he could be effective. But yeah, it was weird that the game ended up one-sided on both ways. Saquon Barkley comes out of the game injured.
Didn't look great.
That's going to be a challenge here.
Yeah, that didn't look great at all. It's his ankle. He looked pretty pissed off. I don't know. That feels like you're going to be missing him for at least a little bit of time.
Yeah, on one hand, you see, I'm not going to running backs can be fragile, man. That's all. But you see his effectiveness, right? The couple touchdowns were good and impressive, and he is a part of this offense, right? I don't think good offenses ever run through the running back. Bijan Robinson might make me rethink that given the circumstances there, but I don't most of the time. Derrick Henry, maybe a little bit. Bijan Robinson maybe can do it. Nick Chubb with the Browns. You usually don't run the offense through the running back. When the Giants have been at their best, who was more effective yesterday, Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley? Who was more important? Of course, it's Daniel Jones. He's the one hitting 2 deep bombs to Jalen Hyatt and getting the ball to Darren Waller and getting the ball to Darius Slayton. And, oh, by the way, Saquon Barkley can be the other impact player on top of those. That's when the Giants will be at their best. And certainly you want Saquon Barkley doing that more than anyone else as far as the Giants depth chart goes. But this was more like what we expected from the Giants. Again, it's just odd that it took 6 quarters to get going. And now it's like, all right, now that's the offense we kind of saw in the preseason where they're distributing the ball and Jones is doing a really nice job as a runner and as a passer and much more effective. All that said, it's against a pretty weak Cardinals team.
Yeah.
It was due.
And I do think that the fact that their defense, now it held in the second half, but the fact that they were so exposed in the first half was more of that. Remember, we had that debate about their preseason and their training camp. Like, Darren Waller's unstoppable. The Giants' offense looks great. Jalen Hyatt scoring a deep touchdown every 3 seconds. Like, all right, how much of that is that's a really good sign for the Giants' offense, and how much of that is actually a pretty big red flag that their defense might not be good? Because of all the young players and all the turnover and all the changes, and their defense has not been able to stop anybody outside of the second half against the Cardinals offense that we expected to be terrible heading into the season. So that's a bit of a concern for them overall. But big comeback, important win for them, because if they'd carried on just getting annihilated the way they were, there would be crisis talks this morning in New York. So huge second half turnaround, and also getting the win I think was important as well. 2 other things. Barbarian watch. We got another sack. Dennis Gardeck now has 3 in 2 games, so on pace, ahead of pace for his double digits. Victor Dimukeje on the defensive line for Arizona played really well in this game. Now, the man only played like 20 snaps or whatever, but the dude was making some plays.